He sat alone on the balcony that evening, a glass of wine, untouched beside him. The city lights flickered far below, but his thoughts weren't there. They were buried in the echoes of 3 love stories. Each one began with hope and ended in silence. He had built rockets, reshaped industries, chased the impossible. But love? Love had left scars deeper than failure ever did. This isn't a story of bitterness, and it's not a cry for pity. This is the quiet truth of what a man learns when he's loved, lost, and tried again. If you've ever been left with only yourself after it all falls apart, if you've ever sat in that silence and asked, was it me, or just love itself that's impossible? Stay with me, because what follows isn't a fairy tale. It's the truth. The first marriage. The illusion of compatibility. He was young, brilliant, ambitious, blazing with vision. And into that fire, he brought love. Her name was Justine. Sharp-witted, fierce, unapologetically herself. She met his energy with her own. Not passive, not merely supportive, but powerful in her own right, and that's what drew him in. They married with the kind of certainty only youth can carry. The belief that chemistry equals compatibility, that love, if passionate enough, could solve anything, that the vows alone would keep the bond strong. At first it felt right. They shared books, shared jokes, shared a dream or so, they thought. But a dream, when unspoken, becomes assumption. And assumptions? They rot in silence. He imagined a future where she stood proudly beside his empire. She imagined a life where he sat beside her not just physically, but emotionally. He thought ambition was the language of love. She needed presence. Presence that couldn't be scheduled between meetings. Their arguments weren't loud. They were subtle. A sigh at the end of a long day. A gaze held a second too long across a dinner table where no one spoke. A feeling of being in the same room, but on different planets. She began to feel invisible. He began to feel misunderstood. He gave her wealth, opportunity, security, but not the kind of attention that says, I see you. Not the kind of listening that says, you matter more than the mission. And so, they began to drift. Quietly, effortlessly, like 2 ships in the night, still headed forward, but not side by side. There were no villains. Only 2 people trying and failing to sync lives that were never truly aligned. Their calendars were full, but their hearts were on different timelines. When the divorce came, it didn't come as a surprise. It came like a curtain call to a performance they could no longer fake. No scandal, no cruelty, just resignation. And he learned that love alone is not the glue that holds a relationship together. That admiration is not enough if your rhythms clash. That silence isn't peace when it's filled with unmet needs. He also learned this subtle truth. Compatibility is not about liking the same music or movies. It's about how you handle pressure, how you deal with anger, how you repair when something breaks. Justine wasn't a mistake. She was a mirror, reflecting his blind spots, forcing him to ask questions no boardroom or blueprint ever demanded. And in that reflection, he saw the beginning not of love, but of understanding what love asks for: consistency, communication, compromise, not to lose yourself, but to make space for someone else to exist beside you without disappearing. That was the first lesson, hard-earned, never forgotten, and it changed everything that came after. The second marriage, the rebound trap. They say the most dangerous place to love from is loneliness. And that's exactly where he was, fresh out of divorce, confused, unmoored, grieving though he didn't have the words for it. He had just stepped out of a marriage that looked fine from the outside, but was quietly suffocating on the inside. And then came her, Tallulah, soft-spoken, captivating, younger, different, the kind of different that feels like air when you've been underwater too long. She wasn't Justine, and that in that moment was enough for him to believe she was the one. But here's what he didn't realize. He wasn't choosing Tallulah. He was reacting to what Justine wasn't. He wasn't building something new. He was trying to outrun the ruins of something old. It felt thrilling at first, passionate, light, like discovering a new language when your old one just stopped working. They married quickly, too quickly, not because they were ready, but because he was desperate to feel whole again. You see, when your ego is bruised, not just your heart, you seek validation dressed as affection. You mistake peace for chemistry. You rush to feel something, anything, other than the ache of failure. But time reveals all things. And soon, the cracks showed. She wanted a partner she could understand. He was still unraveling himself. She needed grounding. He lived in orbit emotionally, mentally, spiritually. What began as excitement became exhaustion. Not because she was difficult, but because they were fundamentally mismatched. They didn't speak the same emotional language. He processed in logic. She lived in nuance. He chased legacy. She sought presence. The truth? He married too soon. Before he healed. Before he unpacked what really ended the first marriage. He thought love was enough to save him from himself. But no partner can hold that weight, not for long. This wasn't her fault. It wasn't even fully his. It was the trap of believing that a new person could fix an old wound. He learned this the hard way. Rebound love isn't love. It's emotional anesthesia. It feels like clarity, but it's just temporary relief. It's the illusion of control in a season of deep loss. And unless you heal the part of you that chose wrong the first time, you'll keep chasing people who reflect your hurt instead of your wholeness. Their divorce was public, messy, not cruel but confusing, because neither of them were villains. They were just two people caught in the undertow of unhealed history. When he left, he felt shame, not just for the failed marriage, but for the realization that he never gave it a real chance. Because he never gave himself one. Tallulah wasn't a mistake. She was a mirror too. But this time, it showed something deeper. That healing is a personal responsibility. That love can't be a distraction from the work. That pain buried under new affection will always rise again louder. And when he finally stood still, really still, he realized he wasn't afraid to be alone. He was afraid of what loneliness would force him to face. That was the trap, and breaking it was the beginning of becoming a man who could love without needing to escape. The third marriage, when success complicates love. By the time he entered his third marriage, he wasn't the same man anymore. He was no longer hungry for validation. He was validated by the world. He wasn't building empires. They were already built. Tesla, SpaceX, the headlines, the interviews, the pressure all orbiting around one name, his. And yet, in the center of that success was a man still looking for something love-shaped. This time, her name was Tallulah again. Yes, again. Because sometimes the heart circles back hoping the second time will be different. And for a moment, it was. They remarried. Older now. Softer, maybe. Carrying both history and hope like fragile cargo. But here's what neither of them expected. Success doesn't make love easier. In fact, it often complicates it. He thought his success would give them the freedom to love better. To travel, to rest, to have time. But power doesn't create space. It consumes it. His schedule wasn't just busy. It was inhuman. 100-hour work weeks. Emails at midnight. A mind split across Mars, manufacturing, media storms, and moments that never made it home. She waited, patiently at first, then with growing ache, because even when you know what you signed up for, it doesn't mean your heart doesn't get tired of being second. She tried. He tried. But they were fighting different battles. She fought for connection. He fought against the gravitational pull of a world that constantly needed him more than any one person could. The intimacy that had once felt possible became strained. Because emotional intimacy, unlike money, can't be scaled. It needs time, presence, attention. And even if you're a genius, you can't automate love. They separated again. Quieter this time, less public, more personal. And what he learned in that heartbreak was perhaps his deepest insight yet. Success does not protect you from relational failure. In fact, it can blind you to your emotional bankruptcy. You can be the most brilliant man in the room and still fail to meet someone's gaze. You can have the world at your fingertips and still not know how to hold someone's heart. He began to see that love requires something more dangerous than intelligence. It requires vulnerability, the ability to be known, not just admired, to be questioned, not just followed. But when you're constantly leading millions, being led into emotional spaces by one person can feel terrifying. It wasn't pride. It wasn't neglect. It was the loneliness that comes when you've built something too big to carry with someone and too heavy to put down. He once said, Being in love while running multiple companies is like carrying glass across a battlefield. And eventually, something breaks. Not because it wasn't real, but because even love needs a place to land. And his life, for all its achievements, had very little stillness. They parted again, with more grace, with more understanding, and with one last, silent truth between them. That timing matters. That even the right hearts can be crushed by the wrong life. That third marriage didn't fail. It revealed. It showed him that love isn't just about choosing the right person. It's about choosing the right life to hold that person. 5 lessons from 3 divorces. TheLou4.com. 1. Love isn't enough. Not if there's no shared structure. You can adore someone, laugh with them, dream with them, and still build a life that slowly suffocates you both. Love without rhythm becomes chaos. Love without shared values becomes conflict. You can share a bed and still feel cold. You can kiss goodnight and still feel unseen. He learned that love without compatibility is like a fire in the rain. Beautiful, but doomed. And compatibility doesn't mean perfect harmony. It means learning how to return to center, together. 2. Timing matters more than we admit. 2 healthy people, 2 beautiful hearts, 2 wise minds can still crash if the season isn't right. Maybe one is still healing. Maybe one is still chasing. Maybe life hasn't humbled them enough to truly listen. Wrong time doesn't mean wrong person, but it does mean the right outcome may never bloom. Timing is the soil of connection, and sometimes it's just not fertile yet. 3. You cannot fix someone with your love. You can inspire them, support them, believe in them, but you cannot climb into their mind and rewire their wounds. Love does not substitute for self-work, and when you try, you end up exhausted, and they end up feeling controlled. He tried to love someone into wholeness, but wholeness isn't gifted, it's chosen. And love isn't supposed to be a rescue mission. 4. Leaving someone doesn't always mean you stopped loving them. Sometimes, it means you finally started loving yourself. It means choosing peace over potential. It means no longer waiting for the maybe version of someone, and walking toward the reality of your own needs. People say, if you really loved me, you wouldn't leave. But the truth is, sometimes the deepest act of love is letting go before the damage defines you. 5. Divorce is not failure. Failure is staying in something that slowly destroys your spirit out of fear, guilt, or habit. Failure is repeating the same wounds, with new faces, without ever stopping to ask why. Divorce is painful, but sometimes it's the beginning of becoming. It's not the end of love. It's the start of learning how to do it better. Patterns that destroy even good love. He began noticing it, not just in himself, but in the men he met across boardrooms, interviews, quiet dinners with CEOs and thinkers. They all shared the same blind spots. They chose based on chemistry, not character. They mistook intensity for alignment. They avoided the hard talks until the silence turned sharp. They tried to power through dysfunction like everything else in life. But love doesn't obey force. They confused being needed with being loved. And comfort? They called that commitment, even when their souls were slowly fading. He did it too. He chased the spark. He ignored the red flags. He stayed too long and left too late. It took him decades to realize, real love isn't a movie. It's not fireworks every night. It's not chaos turned poetic. It's slow, steady, ordinary, and extraordinary in the ordinary. Love is the way someone brings you tea when you're quiet. The way they sit beside your grief without trying to fix it. The way you feel more like yourself, not less when you're around them. And that's the magic. The quiet magic that doesn't beg for attention, but never stops holding you. So what is love really? It's not drama. It's not rescue. It's not clinging to what breaks you. Love is showing up, even when you're tired, even when you're afraid, even when you're triggered, but choose to listen instead of lash out. Love is 2 people waking up, choosing each other again. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Because they've built something that can weather hard seasons. Love is being seen fully in your flaws and fears, and still being met with warmth. Love is staying when the movie ends, when the real life begins, when the dishes pile up, and the silence stretches and the ego wants to run, but the heart stays. And love is also this. letting go when it's time, with grace, with respect, with the quiet understanding that what you shared was real, and that endings don't erase it. Because love is not just found, it's built and rebuilt, and sometimes released. He used to think loving someone meant never leaving. Now he knows. Sometimes leaving is the final act of love. Sometimes letting go is how you stop hurting each other. He carries the weight of those three endings, not as shame, but as proof that he tried, that he learned, that he loved, imperfectly, but truly. And today, he doesn't chase fairy tales. He listens more. He speaks less. He shows up as a man who isn't trying to be rescued, or to rescue, just a man, finally whole on his own. And if love comes again, it'll find him already home,